Have you ever glanced at the clock and seen 11, 11, not once, not twice, but over and over again? Maybe you've dismissed it as coincidence, or worse, superstition. But what if I told you that this repeated number isn't random, that it's a signal, a doorway, a coded message designed to grab your attention and reveal a deeper truth about your life and your potential? For centuries, ancient wisdom, sacred texts, and modern neuroscience have hinted at it. The universe communicates with those who are paying attention. And right now, you are being called. What is it trying to tell you? What hidden patterns are you missing? In the next few minutes, you're going to uncover why 1111 keeps appearing in your life, and it's nothing like what you've been told. Get ready, because once you understand this, you'll never see time, numbers, or reality the same way again. You notice it again. 1111. A flash on the clock as you sip your morning coffee. A sudden reflection in the dashboard as you drive. Another on a receipt, almost mocking your disbelief. Most people shrug, dismiss it as coincidence, or assume it's the brain playing a trick on pattern recognition. But you know something feels different. Deep down, you sense that this number isn't random, that it carries a meaning just beyond the edge of comprehension, a signal you've been unconsciously waiting for your entire life. What if I told you that this seemingly simple sequence of numbers is a doorway, a pulse in the universe's intricate design, deliberately aligned with the cycles of consciousness itself? The truth is, 1111 is not just a random occurrence or a quirk of modern culture. It is, at its core, a message, a mirror reflecting the state of your mind and the alignment of your awareness with something far larger than yourself. And most people, bound by habitual thinking and the noise of daily life, never notice it at all. Historically, numbers have never been mere symbols. In ancient civilizations, numbers were considered sacred. The Pythagoreans didn't just study mathematics, they studied the vibration of numbers, how sequences resonate with the human mind and the cosmos. To them, every number contained a frequency, a unique signature capable of altering perception and even the flow of life. The Egyptians, whose understanding of cycles and cosmic patterns rivals anything modern science has discovered, encoded similar knowledge into their architecture, their calendars, and yes, their mystical texts. Certain moments, patterns, and alignments were not left to chance. They were gateways to awakening. And then there's 11. 11, a number that repeatedly appears at moments of heightened attention or subconscious alignment. You may have thought, why me? Why now? It's not a question of luck. It's a question of tuning. Your consciousness, whether you realize it or not, is seeking resonance. Like a finely tuned instrument, your mind reacts to vibrations in the universe that most people cannot perceive. 11 is one of the clearest frequencies that the universe sends to those who are beginning to awaken to the hidden layers of reality. You might be wondering, awaken? What does that even mean? The answer is surprisingly literal. Every time you notice 11, your nervous system, your brain, and even your cells are subtly responding to an underlying pattern of timing and alignment. Modern science calls this synchronicity moments when your internal state aligns with external events in a way that seems meaningful. Carl Jung, who first popularized the concept, called these events acausal coincidences. Occurrences that cannot be explained by conventional cause and effect logic, yet are profoundly meaningful for the observer. In other words, the world is speaking to you, and 1111 is one of its most persistent signals. But why is it ignored by most? Because the modern mind has been trained to filter out subtle patterns. From the moment we wake up, we are bombarded with distractions, notifications, news, schedules, and obligations. We live in a constant state of divided attention, so the moments that matter, the signals that whisper the truth of existence, are drowned out. 11 is a crack in that wall of noise. It's a nudge, a reminder, a moment when the universe is trying to pierce through the fog of habit and remind you that your attention is more powerful than you think. Ancient texts hint at this phenomenon in ways that seem mystical, yet are profoundly practical. The numerologists of antiquity observed that certain sequences of numbers serve as triggers for consciousness, moments where awareness can shift from the habitual to the transcendent. They didn't call it seeing 1111 or noticing synchronicity because they understood that language itself is limited. Instead, they encoded it in ritual, in symbols, and in the cycles of nature, guiding those who paid attention toward what they called the alignment of the self with the eternal. Consider this. Why is it always 11, 11, and never 13, 13, or 12, 12? The number 1 represents unity, the beginning, the singular point from which creation unfolds. The repetition of 1 4 times is not accidental. It's a signal amplifier, a magnification of the frequency that encourages your mind to pause, to notice, and to become present. In this moment, time seems to hang just slightly differently. Your perception shifts, even if only subtly. Your mind becomes aware of its own processes, thoughts, patterns, emotions, and for an instant, you are no longer fully lost in the stream of habitual thinking. You are observing, consciously, the unfolding of reality itself. But most people never go deeper. They see the number, they feel a brief flicker of curiosity, and then they immediately return to the noise of their day. And that's exactly what the system wants. Because the appearance of 1111 is not just a personal curiosity. It is an invitation to awaken, to reclaim awareness, to step into a flow of life that has been systematically ignored for centuries. What most miss is that this number is not the message itself. It is a trigger, a key, a reminder to examine the deeper mechanics of consciousness, time, and alignment. Here's where it gets fascinating. Studies in quantum physics suggest that observation itself affects reality. The act of noticing, of paying attention, of becoming aware of a pattern, creates resonance in the universe. You are not merely seeing 11, 11. In that act of noticing, you are participating in the very fabric of reality. Your consciousness interacts with probability, perception, and timing in ways that are only beginning to be understood. Every observer leaves a mark, every acknowledgement creates a ripple, and every moment of awareness contributes to the amplification of possibility. This brings us to the first secret hidden in plain sight. 1111 is a reflection of your internal state. If your mind is cluttered, your awareness scattered, and your energy fragmented, 1111 will appear as a fleeting curiosity, quickly dismissed. But if your consciousness is primed open, receptive, and aligned, the number becomes a signal, a beacon, a doorway to profound insight. Your body, mind, and subtle energy systems are responding to these frequencies, whether you are aware or not. You are a participant in this alignment, not a passive observer. And yet, the world around you conspires to prevent this recognition. From childhood, we are taught to externalize power, to rely on authority, to follow schedules, to accept limitations imposed by others. Our natural attunement to subtle signals like 1111 is dulled by overstimulation and habitual thinking. Ancient civilizations knew this. The Egyptians, the Mayans, and even the Vedic sages encoded this knowledge in their architecture, rituals, and texts, ensuring that those who were prepared could access it, while the unprepared remained distracted. 1111 is your modern-day initiation, a subtle, yet persistent signal that calls you back to awareness. By now, you might be asking yourself, okay, but what does it actually mean? How do I respond? The first step is understanding that this is not superstition or mystical fantasy. It is a reflection of reality that intersects with science, consciousness studies, and neurobiology. Your brain, nervous system, and even your cellular structures respond to pattern recognition, attention, and resonance. When you notice 1111, your mind briefly shifts out of habitual processing and enters a state of heightened awareness. In this state, perception expands, intuition is sharpened, and your body subtly recalibrates. It is a moment of alignment, an opportunity to influence both internal and external reality. The second insight is that this alignment is deeply personal. 11 does not carry a universal message. It mirrors the state of your own consciousness. Are you fearful, hesitant, distracted? Then 1111 may appear as an unsettling or confusing signal, something you can't interpret. Are you open, attentive, and curious? Then 1111 is a whisper, a confirmation that you are on the right path, that your awareness is synchronized with the rhythms of life itself. This is why the number can feel both uncanny and familiar, both repetitive and profoundly significant. Finally, the third hidden truth is that repetition matters. Seeing 1111 once is interesting. Seeing it consistently is a sign that the universe is attempting to communicate with you. These recurring moments are a frequency check, a gauge of your alignment with your own higher awareness. They are reminders to pause, breathe, and become conscious of the present. Every 1111 you notice is an opportunity to reconnect with the natural rhythms that modern life has trained you to ignore, a chance to recalibrate your nervous system, your perception, and your connection to the unseen patterns of reality. As we move forward, you will begin to discover the deeper mechanisms behind this phenomenon, why ancient civilizations treated certain numbers as sacred, how modern neuroscience and quantum physics are beginning to validate these insights, and, most importantly, what it means for your personal life and your ability to interact with time, awareness, and possibility. What you have experienced until now is only the surface, the flicker of the signal. Below the surface lies the current, the full force of alignment that can transform your perception, your energy, and the very way your life unfolds. But here's the part most people don't realize. 1111 is not just a signal for attention, it's a mirror reflecting the state of your consciousness across multiple dimensions. Think of your awareness as a radio tuner. Every thought, emotion, and habitual reaction emits a frequency. Most people are tuned into static, the endless background noise of life. But when 1111 appears, it's like the radio briefly locks onto a pure, clear signal, one that resonates with your higher potential. And the fascinating part is this: the signal doesn't just exist out there in the universe. It exists inside you. Your mind, body, and subtle energy systems are aligned with a rhythm far older than modern human civilization. Ancient cultures understood this intuitively. The Egyptians didn't just worship numbers. They encoded them in hieroglyphics, temple alignments, and rituals, precisely because they knew these patterns could shift consciousness. In the temples of Dendera and Luxor, certain sequences were intentionally aligned with celestial cycles, creating moments where awareness could expand. They called this attunement Mat, the harmony between mind, body, and the cosmos. In essence, 1111 is a modern echo of that same principle. A frequency that calls attention to your alignment with universal order. From a scientific perspective, the phenomenon has startling parallels in neuroscience. Studies on pattern recognition reveal that the human brain is wired to detect symmetry and repetition. But more than that, it responds to sequences that mirror internal states. When you notice 1111 repeatedly, your prefrontal cortex, the seat of conscious awareness, becomes subtly more active, while your limbic system, the emotional center, temporarily stabilizes. This is why moments of noticing can feel simultaneously mysterious and calming, as though your nervous system recognizes a hidden truth before your conscious mind can fully articulate it. And there's a deeper layer still. The number sequence 1111 is not arbitrary because it reflects a kind of symbolic doorway. In numerology, 1 represents beginnings, unity, and potential. When repeated, it signals amplification, the universe nudging you to recognize the power of conscious intention. Every time you glance at the clock or a receipt and see 1111, your body, mind, and awareness are momentarily attuned to the flow of energy that modern life obscures. It's a reminder that life is not happening to you, but with you. Each repeated signal is an opportunity to recalibrate, to shift your focus, and to participate consciously in the unfolding of your reality. This is why, even if you've seen 11 hundreds of times, it never loses significance. Each appearance is uniquely tailored to your state of consciousness in that exact moment. It is both universal and intensely personal, a paradox that ancient mystics delighted in because it demonstrates the intimate relationship between microcosm and macrocosm. And the question now becomes clear: will you recognize it, or will you continue to dismiss it as coincidence? The universe is speaking, but listening is an art that must be cultivated. 11. 11 is not just a curiosity, a number, or even a fleeting symbol. It is a key, a gateway into understanding consciousness, time, and alignment in ways that most people never even consider. The journey ahead will reveal why these moments occur, what they signify in the context of ancient wisdom and modern science, and how tuning into them can fundamentally transform the way you perceive yourself, your life, and the flow of reality itself. When you notice 1111 repeatedly, you are tapping into a rhythm that ancient civilizations recognized long before the advent of clocks, calendars, or digital timekeeping. The Egyptians, the Mayans, and the Vedic sages understood that certain numerical patterns carry resonance with consciousness itself. They observed that time is not merely linear, a relentless march from birth to death, but a dynamic field shaped by perception, attention, and alignment. In the temples of Egypt, the alignment of obelisks, pyramids, and sacred chambers was no accident. These structures were positioned to amplify subtle vibrations, to create specific temporal windows where awareness could expand. Moments like 1111 are echoes of this ancient understanding, a gentle, persistent nudge from the universe, reminding you that time is flexible, responsive, and intimately connected to consciousness. The ancients did not treat numbers as abstract symbols. They treated them as living, energetic entities. One was unity, the origin point, the seed from which creation unfolds. 11 in repetition becomes a frequency amplifier, magnifying the resonance of that unity. This is why 1111 is experienced not as a trivial coincidence, but as a moment of unmistakable intensity, a ripple in the normal perception of time. The repetition of the number acts like a cosmic tuning fork, vibrating in harmony with your subconscious mind and nudging your attention toward alignment. Those who fail to notice it or dismiss it remain attuned to the mundane rhythms of daily life, missing the subtle invitations to consciousness that the universe presents. It is an opportunity, recurring frequently, to pause, breathe, and recalibrate the connection between your inner and outer world. Modern science, surprisingly, validates much of this ancient intuition. Neuroscience shows that our brains are exquisitely sensitive to patterns. The prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for higher reasoning and self-awareness, responds to repetition and symmetry, particularly when it aligns with internal expectations. When you glance at a clock and see 11:11, your nervous system briefly enters a heightened state of attentiveness. Neurotransmitters like dopamine spike subtly, rewarding your mind for noticing something unusual. Your brain interprets this as meaningful, even if your conscious self cannot immediately articulate why. In essence, the body knows before the mind, and your internal systems recognize these moments as a call to alignment and awareness. But there is more than neural mechanics at work. Studies in quantum physics suggest that observation itself shapes reality. Experiments in quantum entanglement and the double-slit experiment demonstrate that the act of conscious observation can influence outcomes at the smallest levels of reality. This implies a remarkable principle. When you notice 1111, you are not merely observing a number. You are participating in the creation of your reality. Your attention is a force, a frequency, and every time you consciously respond to this signal, you amplify its impact in ways that ripple outward across your perception, your choices, and even the timing of events in your life. The repetition of 1111 is significant precisely because it is consistent. A single instance is interesting, recurring appearances are purposeful. They are signals designed to synchronize your internal state with the flow of external reality. Think of it as the universe, testing your readiness. Can you perceive subtle alignment? Can you pause long enough to recognize patterns that hint at something far larger than yourself? Ancient mystics called this readiness attunement, the capacity to receive information not through noise or logic, but through resonance and awareness. It is no coincidence that people who begin to notice these sequences repeatedly often report shifts in intuition, perception, and even physical energy. Each instance becomes a checkpoint, a moment where your internal state is measured against the possibilities of alignment, and the more frequently you notice it, the more your awareness of subtle energy fields grows. The historical record provides striking examples. The Egyptians encoded sacred mathematics into their pyramids, their calendars, and their religious ceremonies, all reflecting an intimate understanding of cycles. The Mayans, through their precise observation of celestial movements, designed the Tzolk'in calendar to create periods of heightened awareness. The Vedic texts describe time as cyclical, not linear, and linked consciousness to cosmic rhythms in ways that modern science is only beginning to understand. 11. 11 is the modern echo of these ancient systems, a number sequence that appears at moments when your internal cycles align with these broader cosmic rhythms. Your subconscious mind recognizes the timing before your conscious awareness catches up, which is why noticing 1111 often coincides with sudden insights, intuitive nudges, or a feeling that you are exactly where you need to be. There is also a psychological dimension. Carl Jung describes synchronicity as meaningful coincidence, events that occur without causal relation yet carry profound significance for the observer. 1111 is a perfect example. When you see it, you experience a jolt, a sudden recognition that life is not random, that some hidden order underlies the apparent chaos, and the power of these moments lies in your response. Most people shrug and move on, missing the depth of what is being communicated. Those who pause, reflect, and attune themselves to the significance are rewarded with subtle shifts in awareness, intuition, and even physical vitality. Each appearance becomes an invitation to engage consciously with reality, to move beyond autopilot existence and into deliberate presence. Neuroscience explains part of this effect. The brain operates on rhythms alpha, beta, theta, and delta waves, each corresponding to different states of consciousness. When you notice a pattern like 1111, it triggers a temporary synchronization of brainwave activity. Your mind becomes more alert, yet also more receptive, more capable of integrating information from multiple levels of awareness. These moments create a short-lived resonance that can expand your capacity for insight, perception, and even creativity. The ancient sages understood this principle intuitively. Recognizing sacred patterns in time unlocks access to higher perception and mental clarity. And then there's the body. Ancient practices, from pranayama in India to breathwork in Egypt, understood that the mind and body are inseparable. Conscious attention, when paired with breath, posture, and internal awareness, directly affects cellular function. Seeing 1111, pausing, and taking a conscious breath can alter your physiological state, reducing stress hormones, increasing oxygenation, and priming your nervous system for optimal function. The number becomes a cue, a trigger for alignment, not just in consciousness, but in biology itself. When you respond to these moments intentionally, they shift not only perception, but internal chemistry, subtly rewiring neural pathways to favor clarity, calm, and receptive awareness. But why 1111? Why does this particular sequence recur across cultures, centuries, and modern digital life? One interpretation is symbolic. The number 1 represents initiation, unity, and potential. Repeated 4 times, it becomes a powerful amplifier, a magnified vibration that calls your attention to alignment and possibility. Another interpretation comes from sacred geometry and numerology. 11 is a master number, representing intuition, insight, and spiritual awakening. Its repetition signals a doorway, a threshold between ordinary perception and heightened awareness. Every time you notice it, your mind and body are subtly prompted to recognize, align, and participate consciously in the unfolding of reality. The most profound insight is that 1111 is never just about seeing a number. It is about cultivating awareness, the ability to pause, reflect, and consciously engage with the present moment. Modern life trains us to react automatically, to drift through experience without noticing subtle cues. 11 is a rare interruption in this automated flow. a chance to recalibrate, to reconnect with internal rhythms, and to begin sensing the broader currents of time and energy that underlie daily life. Those who harness it learn to observe without reacting, to participate without forcing, and to recognize that every moment contains layers of hidden order waiting to be discovered. Science, history, and mysticism converge here. The repetition of 1111 is not a fluke, superstition, or mere coincidence. It is a frequency, a doorway, a signal that calls the observer to awaken, and those who are ready, those who notice, pause, and respond, begin to experience life differently. Time, energy, and perception start to shift. Subtle alignment becomes tangible, and the ordinary begins to reveal hidden layers of extraordinary possibility. The key lies in consistent, deliberate attention. The universe does not merely whisper once and expect full comprehension. It presents repeated cues, nudges, and sequences to see if you will notice, if you will participate. The more you engage consciously with these moments, the more your perception attunes to patterns that remain invisible to the distracted, unobservant mind. You begin to notice coincidences that are not coincidences, meaningful alignments that guide decisions, and intuitions that steer you toward your highest potential. Once this understanding takes root, your life begins to shift in subtle but undeniable ways. You start to recognize the hidden synchrony in relationships, career opportunities, and personal growth. Decisions that once felt random now appear as responses to deeper patterns. Challenges transform from obstacles into cues, moments where your attention and alignment are tested. And through it all, the recurring appearance of 1111 becomes a gentle but persistent reminder that you are never truly disconnected, that the universe is not separate from you, but a reflection of your own internal state, a partner in the ongoing co-creation of your reality. This is why noticing 1111 repeatedly is so powerful. It is both a mirror and a guide, a reflection of your current alignment and a doorway to potential transformation. The number itself is meaningless without conscious engagement. Its power lies in your attention, your awareness, and your willingness to participate. And those who learn to respond consciously find that time itself seems to shift. Moments stretch, clarity expands, and the world begins to reveal hidden harmonics, patterns that were always present but previously unnoticed. As you begin to notice 1111 with intention, something remarkable happens. Your perception of reality itself begins to shift. Life no longer feels random or chaotic. Instead, patterns emerge where once there was only noise. Small synchronicities become more frequent, a friend reaching out at exactly the right moment, an idea appearing seemingly out of nowhere, or a chance encounter that leads to unexpected opportunity. These are not coincidences. They are the universe, responding to your awareness, your attunement, and your willingness to participate consciously in the rhythm of life. Each 1111 becomes a checkpoint, a mirror reflecting your current alignment and nudging you toward deeper connection with your own intuition. The subtle power of these moments also extends to your internal states. When you pause at 1111 and breathe consciously, your nervous system shifts, even if only briefly. Heart rate variability increases, stress hormones decrease, and your body experiences a momentary alignment with its natural rhythm. Over time, repeated awareness of this number pattern strengthens these physiological effects. Your body becomes more receptive to subtle energy shifts, your mind more capable of discerning meaningful patterns, and your intuition sharper. This is why many who consciously engage with 1111 report sudden clarity, emotional release, and an increased sense of purpose. Consider this. If your attention is constantly hijacked by distractions, notifications, and multitasking, these signals will pass unnoticed. Your nervous system becomes numb to subtle cues, your mind entrenched in autopilot patterns, and the universe's invitations go unheeded. But when you intentionally tune into these moments, when you allow yourself to pause, reflect, and respond with full awareness, you begin to rewrite your relationship with time itself. The repetition of 1111 is not merely a call to notice, but a reminder to reclaim your conscious participation in the flow of life. Moreover, There is a profound psychological principle at play. When humans recognize patterns repeatedly, the brain interprets them as meaningful, and this shapes both behavior and perception. Your focus becomes sharper, your decisions more aligned, and your actions more intentional. Each 1111 becomes a micro-practice in mindfulness, a brief but potent reminder that reality is not happening to you. You are co-creating it. Ancient mystics would have called this attuning to the divine rhythm, while modern neuroscience would describe it as priming your neural circuits to recognize patterns, reinforcing your ability to act in accordance with subtle cues rather than reflexive responses. Ultimately, 1111 is a gateway, a symbolic doorway into higher awareness. It asks you to pause, breathe, observe, and recalibrate. It is not magic or superstition, it is a mechanism built into the fabric of consciousness itself, a tool to bring you back into alignment with your deepest self and the subtle rhythms of the universe. By now, you may be starting to sense that 1111 is more than a simple number sequence. It is a threshold, a signal pointing to a reality that exists just beyond the everyday perception most of us accept as normal. But noticing it is only the first step. The next step is learning how to respond not passively, not with distraction, but with conscious engagement. This is where the true power of 1111 emerges. The universe doesn't just hand out signals for entertainment. It rewards those who are willing to participate, who take these brief moments to recalibrate their attention, align with subtle rhythms, and act intentionally. To engage meaningfully with 1111, begin by creating a moment of stillness whenever it appears. This doesn't require meditation, music, elaborate rituals, or hours of preparation. It requires presence. The ancient Egyptians and Vedic sages both emphasized the power of deliberate attention. They understood that consciousness is like water when calm. It reflects the universe perfectly. When turbulent, it obscures clarity. So when you notice 1111, pause. Breathe deeply, allowing the breath to fill your lungs fully. Engage your body as well as your mind. Straighten your posture, soften your shoulders, and feel the subtle energy circulating through your body. This simple alignment is the first step in transforming a fleeting moment into a portal for awareness. The second step is reflection. Ask yourself, what is being illuminated in this moment? What subtle pattern or insight might I be overlooking? This is not about seeking dramatic revelations or mystical visions. It is about cultivating a heightened state of awareness. You may notice synchronicities in your thoughts, ideas you've ignored, or decisions you've been postponing. You may even sense the direction your life is calling you to move in. Each 1111 acts as a mirror, revealing what is aligned and what is out of harmony. The more you engage in this reflective practice, the sharper your intuition becomes, and the more attuned you are to patterns that were previously invisible. There is also a physical component to this practice. Conscious engagement with 1111 affects your nervous system. When you pause and breathe deliberately, your heart rate variability improves, stress hormones decrease, and your parasympathetic nervous system, the system responsible for rest, recovery, and cellular regeneration, activates. Modern science confirms that brief, intentional pauses in attention, especially when paired with deep breathing, can reduce cortisol levels, enhance mental clarity, and even promote neurogenesis, the creation of new brain cells. In other words, responding to 1111 is not just a mental exercise. It is a practice that rewires your nervous system and strengthens your body at the cellular level. But there is more. The repeated noticing of 1111 begins to train your mind to recognize subtle cues in the world around you. Your attention shifts from the habitual and automatic to the nuanced and deliberate. You start to notice patterns in your relationships, in opportunities, and in events that previously seemed random. Small decisions become clearer. Situations that once felt like coincidence begin to reveal themselves as synchronistic, aligned with your deeper intentions. This is the principle the ancients called attunement, a conscious resonance with the flow of reality. Each 1111 is like a bell ringing softly in your awareness, reminding you to realign, recalibrate, and participate fully in the present moment. The beauty of this practice is its accessibility. You do not need tools, elaborate rituals, or even spiritual training. All that is required is attention and willingness. Begin by noticing each occurrence of 1111. Stop, breathe, and reflect. Record your experiences in a journal. Over time, you will begin to see patterns, subtle changes in perception, and the emergence of insights that were previously invisible. This is the practical application of a profound truth. The universe responds to awareness. Attention itself is a creative force. By engaging with these signals, you are co-creating your reality in ways that extend far beyond the mere act of observing a number. Once this awareness is cultivated, you can deepen the practice. Use 11. 11 is a trigger for intention setting. Instead of merely noticing the number, consciously decide what energy, action, or focus you wish to bring into alignment with your life. Visualize your intention clearly. Breathe it into your body and let it resonate in your mind. This is the essence of conscious creation, a practice encoded in every sacred tradition across the world. By pairing awareness with deliberate intention, 1111 becomes a doorway not only to insight, but to active participation in shaping your life. Another profound aspect of 1111 is its reminder of timing. Life is not just about effort, it is about alignment. Many of us push relentlessly, attempting to force outcomes while ignoring subtle signs that the timing is not yet right. When you notice 1111 and pause, it is a gentle cue that timing matters, that attention and alignment are critical components of effective action. Acting in rhythm with life, rather than in opposition to it, dramatically increases the efficacy of every decision. This is why those who engage deeply with 1111 often find that their lives shift in ways that feel effortless, serendipitous, and deeply rewarding. By integrating this awareness into daily life, you begin to create what the ancients described as resonance, a state where your internal rhythms are aligned with external reality. Your intuition sharpens, your perception expands, and your actions become more deliberate. Life stops feeling chaotic and begins to feel like a dance, a flowing sequence where you move in harmony with the currents of time, energy, and opportunity. 11 is no longer a curiosity. It is a teacher, a guide, and a reminder of your capacity to participate consciously in the unfolding of reality itself. As you continue practicing this awareness, something remarkable begins to unfold. 11 becomes more than a pattern. It becomes a key to understanding your own internal rhythms and the way you interface with the universe. You start noticing that the moments of alignment aren't limited to numbers. They appear in conversations, in your work, in nature, and in moments of profound intuition. The universe is always speaking, but few have learned its language. By tuning into 1111, you begin to recognize the subtle syntax of synchronicity. Every coincidence begins to carry meaning, and every choice becomes an opportunity to act in harmony with your higher self. But the most profound shift comes from understanding the relationship between attention, energy, and intention. The repeated awareness of 1111 acts as a signal for your consciousness to pause, breathe, and reflect. This is not about superstition. It is about bioenergetics, neuroscience, and subtle consciousness mechanics. Attention is energy, and energy follows focus. By consciously noticing these moments, you redirect your mental, emotional, and even physical energy toward clarity and alignment. You begin to act not out of reaction, but out of deliberate response. And this single shift rewires your experience of reality. Imagine for a moment that every 1111 you notice is like a lighthouse guiding you through fog. Each time you engage, you illuminate the path just a little further, revealing possibilities that were always present but previously obscured. The accumulation of these moments is where transformation occurs. Over weeks, months, and years, you begin to live in a state of heightened awareness where your actions, thoughts, and intentions align seamlessly. You feel more grounded, more connected, and more attuned to the subtle flow of life. Life begins to move not merely around you, but with you, as if the currents themselves are acknowledging your participation. This awareness also fundamentally changes your perception of challenges. Problems that once seemed insurmountable begin to appear as opportunities for growth, signals guiding you to refine your focus and recalibrate your actions. The universe communicates not only through the visible, but also through the hidden, the coincidences, the unexpected encounters, and yes, the repeated sequences like 1111. Each moment is a message, a chance to adjust, reflect, and act in alignment with a higher, more coherent order. Over time, this practice rewires your brain to recognize these subtle signals automatically, turning what once seemed like chance into meaningful navigation tools. There is a practical element as well. The more you engage with these synchronicities, the more your daily life becomes a reflection of your internal alignment. Tasks are completed with less friction, decisions become clearer, and your intuition guides you more reliably. You begin to notice patterns in your emotions, thoughts, and even physical sensations. 11 becomes a checkpoint for your state of alignment, a gentle reminder to ask, am I centered, present, and acting in accordance with my highest intentions? If the answer is no, the universe provides yet another signal, guiding you back toward alignment. This ongoing feedback loop is the foundation of what many mystics and ancient sages described as mastery over time and circumstance. It's essential to remember that this is not about chasing magic or waiting for extraordinary events. The transformation comes from the consistent practice of awareness, reflection, and intentional action. Each 1111 becomes a doorway into higher consciousness, a moment where you pause long enough to notice the currents of life and redirect your energy. Over time, these small pauses accumulate, and the life you live begins to reflect a deeper, more coherent alignment with your intentions, values, and purpose. The final, most powerful insight is this. Noticing 11 is not merely a personal practice, it is a statement of sovereignty. It is a refusal to live unconsciously, to drift through life, believing that random chance governs your reality. By responding to these moments, you assert that you are an active participant in your existence, capable of shaping your circumstances through awareness, intention, and alignment. The numbers are simply a mirror, reflecting back your potential, reminding you of the power you have always carried within. Now imagine applying this principle consistently, not just to 1111, but to all patterns in your life. Each moment of attention becomes an opportunity to co-create reality rather than passively experience it. Each pause, each breath, each reflection builds the architecture of a life lived deliberately and fully. Synchronicity is no longer rare, it becomes normal. Opportunities appear at exactly the right moment. Intuition guide décision reliable. You find yourself moving in harmony with both internal and external currents, aligned with a deeper rhythm that others often fail to perceive. And here's the truth few realize. This awareness is cumulative. Just as a river carves valleys over millennia, repeated attention shapes the landscape of your life. Every 11 you notice. Every moment you pause to reflect, and every decision made in alignment contributes to a new trajectory, one of clarity, synchronicity, and empowerment. Life begins to feel expansive, rich, and alive, as if you have stepped into a current that was always there, waiting for you to notice and join. So now, the question is simple. Are you ready to step fully into this flow? Will you treat 1111 as a mere curiosity, or as a gateway to conscious living, alignment, and transformation? The choice is yours, and the consequences are profound. Every moment of awareness, every act of reflection, every intention set consciously is a declaration that you will no longer drift, that you will no longer wait for life to happen to you, that you will co-create your reality with deliberate attention. Take this practice seriously. Begin today. Each time you see 11, pause, breathe, reflect, and act with intention. Journal your insights. Notice patterns. Let the numbers guide you toward alignment, not superstition. Share this awareness with those who are ready to hear it. Your engagement has a ripple effect, influencing not only your own life, but the lives of everyone around you, creating a field of conscious participation that extends far beyond the individual. The universe has provided a simple, elegant signal. The rest is up to you. Will you remain unaware, drifting in the currents of distraction and routine? Or will you rise to the practice of conscious attention, using these subtle codes to align, create, and thrive? 11. 11 is not magic. It is a tool, a teacher, and a mirror of your own potential. The only question is how fully you are willing to engage with it. Step through the doorway, and life itself will respond.